Tēnā tātou katoa. Welcome to the launch of the Māori Governance Video Toolkit. I'd like to begin our event with a karakia, mā tātou katoa. Tukua te wairua kia rere ki ngā taumata, hei arahi i a tātou mahi me tā tātou whai, i ngā tikanga a rā tauma. Kia mau, kia ita, kia kore ai e naro, kia pupuri, kia whakamaua, kia tīna. Hui e, tai ki e. Anō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kevin Haunui. I am the Tangata Whenua Co-Chair of Community Governance Aotearoa, and I'd like to welcome you here to this great event that we have for you today. I te taho tōki pāpā, he uri ahau no nai tūhoi, te whānau panui nā te kahununu, i te taho tōki māma he uri ahau no tūwhare tō Ngāti Rangi. Ngāti Uanuku Āti Hau, nō reira tēnei ka mihi. Today, we are going to have, with the assistance of Rose Hiha-Agnew, our Chief Executive, Tumu Whakarae of Community Governance Aotearoa, and also Sonya Rimene, Arahi, Tuarā, Tonga, Trust and Property Director of Tumu Paeroa. They will take us through the program for our event today. But in saying that, I'd also like to honour and pay my respects to Tumu Paeroa and Sonya and the team for sharing and acknowledging this resource, which will be available for all our whānau in terms of governance. Nō reira tēnā koutou te Tumu Paeroa. It's a great time of the year for us to be launching this particular toolkit. It is Matariki. It is a time of celebrating the new year, to celebrate new beginnings, aspirations for us all in terms of whatever we wish, but really also in terms of our governance aspirations. So in saying that, I'd like to honour Matariki with this particular karakia. Mānawa mai, ia te putanga o Matariki. Mānawa mai ia te ariki o te rangi. Mānawa mai ia te mātahi o te tau, whano haramai te toki ata, hua ki rangi, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Tēnā koe, Rose.
Tēnā koe, Kevin, tēnā koutou, katoa, nau mai, haere mai. Ko waiau, ko Ngāti Hiha-Agnew tōku iwi, ko Tumu Whakarae ki Community Governance Aotearoa, ko Retina Hiha tōku ingoa. Welcome to everyone to the launch event to celebrate the release of our video toolkit with Te Tumu Paeroa. Thank you for being here with us. We thank you for taking your time out to join and celebrate this great event. Community Governance Aotearoa leads the National Action Plan. It's a set of 15 initiatives co-designed by our community for our community to create impact and change for our not-for-profit governing sector. This is one of our key initiatives, and it's great to get to this stage and to share them with you all. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the initial seed funders, such as the Combined Community Trust, in particular Foundation North, the Rata Foundation, Grant Thornton, Auckland Council, and DIA Charity Service. I'd also like to acknowledge the contributions of our sector organisations, such as Volunteering New Zealand, TPK, Centre for Social Impact, and the many volunteers and governance leaders who helped design and shape the National Action Plan initiatives. As part of the development of these videos, I'd also like to thank Community Governance Aotearoa's Te Ao Māori Rōpū for their guidance and support. So this is a partnership initiative, and it serves two dual purposes. One is to share the videos widely through the Community Governance website, and to provide more in-depth training, which Sonya will talk about more shortly. The video toolkit is visual content, So they are a set of video resources that is told and shared through real life working examples. I think you're really going to enjoy watching them. The videos explore topics of leadership, culture, personalities, and legal obligation. It's all that kind of fun stuff. These resources are available for all and will be of interest for all, but the content is specifically designed for Māori landowner trustees. Community Governance Aotearoa, we are looking after these important taonga. We would like you to share them out with your trustees, with your boards, and through your networks. Again, thank you for so many of you being here with us today. It's lovely to have you all with us. I'm going to hand over now to Sonya, who's going to share more in depth about the videos with you. Tēnā koe e hoa.
Tēnā tātou, mai awa te a Matariki. Ko te tumu Paeroa tēnei, te tauawhi nei, te taunaki nei, te tiaki nei ngā whenua Māori, o nai nei, mua popo hoki. So we are te tumu Paeroa. The Māori trustee is Dr. Charlotte Severn, who tables her apologies today. Our role is to ensure whenua Māori is protected and enhanced now and for generations to come. Ko Sonya Rimene tōku ingoa, ko au te pau Arahi Tuarā taonga, he iri au rangitāne o Wairarapa, ka Haunui ki Wairarapa, te arawa me kaitahi hoki, nō reira tēnā tātou. So we wanted to empower owners of whenua Māori. So we set up a project to encourage owners of whenua Māori to take steps towards self-governance. So we developed learning resources to prepare potential trustees to be responsible trustees. Ara whakakaha, tā rātou pikinga. And we were really fortunate and honoured to partner up with Community Governance Aotearoa to do this. So we did videos, and the purpose of the videos was to entertain and inform. And you'll see that there's lots of kata, lots of laughter, lots of wanga, a little bit of confusion, but they get the job done. So there are 9 videos, and they follow a journey of 5 new responsible trustees as they learn how to govern their whenua and work together to achieve the best outcomes for the owners of that whenua. So the format is where we've got a scene, something happens, and then an expert comes in and gives us some advice around it. Just to mention, these videos are not designed to replace expert advice, including financial or legal advice. That was our legal team giving us. Okay. So, topics. There are 9 videos, 9 topics, 9 kaupapa. So video 1 is about trustee duties, and the Māori Land Court has 12 principles or duties for trustees to follow. Just to pause here, we didn't want to start from scratch. We didn't want to reinvent the wheels, so we've looked to our colleagues, our friends across the sector, and building on what they've already done. Video 2 is trust orders. And that's about what is a trust order and what might it contain. Video 3 is around strategy and vision. You know, a little bit of strategic thinking and what planning needs to happen. Video 4 is around meetings, actual owner engagement, what to have in a meeting and how to run one. Video 5 is around leases. What is a lease and what is generally in a lease document? Video 6 is around leadership. It looks at different leadership styles and how to work with them. Video 7 is around financial statements. It's a general overview of typical financial statements. Video 8 is risk management and how to consider risk associated with strategies and what methods are available to mitigate those risks and manage them. And lastly, video 9 is around ethics and this video has a range of scenarios looking at conflict of interest and ethical considerations. Before we move on, just want to make a big shout out to the Māori Land Court and to Puni Kōkiri, because we were able to provide them with the transcripts of what these topics will look like, and they gave us great feedback. Okay. The videos are also a part of an online learning system called Tūtiaki. And Tūtiaki means to stand as a trustee. Each online learning module has a workbook. It's an interactive workbook. It might have some quizzes, and there are links to other resources. Tūtiaki is available to those owners who are registered on My Whenua, and a link is available to those that ask and would like to access that resource. Hoi anō, tēnei te mahina nui ki Community Governance Aotearoa. Thank you for the opportunity to mahitahi, to make this happen, to share our resource with you. All those videos will be on the Community Governance Aotearoa website and are available from today onwards. To te kōti whenua Māori and te Puni Kōkiri, mahi tēnei ki tō tautoko, mahitahi mātou, hoi anō Hiha-Agnew, mo te whenua mo te whānau o tērā whenua, nō reira a tēnā kōroa. And finally, to Tumu Paeroa, particularly Carol Kelly, who kept this on task, and to Tumu Paeroa teams. Without you made this happen, we made this happen, and actually it's not all about us, it's about the whenua and the owners of that whenua. Hoi anō, now we are going to show one video.
This video is designed for training purposes only and is not intended to provide advice, including legal or financial advice, or replace the guidance of the Māori Land Court or any government agencies such as Te Puni Kōkiri. Individuals in this video are fictitious, and any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.
That's right.
For more information for trustees working with Ahu Whenua Trust, please go to www.maorilandcourts.govt.nz or www.tpk.govt.nz.
If you're being delegated the job of preparing the owner's hui, here are some pointers. The trust order may say how often the meetings have to be held and any other conditions you need. If it does not, you can seek legal advice or advice from the Māori Land Court for what to do. You will need to prepare an agenda that has, as a minimum, a report on the land, the latest financial information, and any decisions that need to be made. You will need to contact all of the owners to tell them the meeting time and give them these details in advance.
As trustees, we decided that we would share the role of chair in our hui, and this is my turn. Now, our agenda for today is on the board behind me, and we will be sticking to this whānau. Mai ana?
Look at the great acting.
Rawari is going to present the whenua report.
Kia ora tātou, kia ora whānau. Well, as you follow, we've been leasing our whenua to the same farmer for the last 15 years. Next year, the lease comes up and we have a few different options.
The hui agenda should be made available to owners well in advance of the meeting, so everyone knows what's going to be discussed and the meeting can hold its structure. Giving all of the trustees a role during this meeting shows unity and gives them an opportunity to fully participate.
Thanks, Nico, for that motion, and thank you also in there for seconding it. Okay, so we've had the kōrero, and now it's time to vote. As I said at the beginning of the hui, the trust order says we need to do this by show of hands, and we have a quorum. So all those in favour, raise your hands. Pātai.
Conducting the voting in line with the provisions in the trust order is important. If the trust order is silent when it comes to voting at meetings of owners, trustees should refer to the relevant legislation, seek legal advice or clarity from the Māori Land Court.
That's all of the agenda. Tēnā tātou. We now have some actions to take away that the trustees will do, and we will report back to everyone at the next meeting. Ka pai. Tāore, mai te hui e whakakapi.
Kia ora tātou.
Action points, completion dates, and delegating tasks are useful tools to ensure owners that trustees are managing the trust efficiently. Taking detailed minutes that accurately reflect the hui discussion is also important.
Aotearoa ran a very efficient meeting, top of the ranks.
Good though. Got lots of actions to work through though, so how are we going to get them all done?
Well, let's split the love between us and next game and put back in each trustee meeting.
Yep, sounds like a plan. I'll take the first two and these two.
It is important that post-meeting actions are undertaken in a timely manner to prevent them from being forgotten. Before taking any action, trustees should refer back to the trust order and ensure their compliance duties are met. Now, not every resolution at a meeting requires that action to be taken, particularly if it is not compliant with the trust order.
That was a good meeting today. Ka pai everyone for your part.
Yeah, I think we did really well. Good to see the owners have an interest in it too.
Oh man, we had it sorted, eh? Not too bad for a bunch of newbies.
Yeah, I'm flattered.
Let's just say we did okay. Your turn to chair the next one, Aotearoa.
It is.
Pātai. So that was one of the videos, which was the meetings and engagement with the owners. And you can see the interaction between the trustees and then a little bit of expertise advice. Hoi anō, I'm going to ask now the Māori Land Court, Cribb, to come up and say a few words in terms of what they offer. Nō reira, nau mai haramai, Piri.
Tēnā koe Sonya, tēnā o ki tātou e te ware. E me I kawa ki tēnei ki a koe Kevin, nau te kupu e pakatakoto kia aere tōtika te kaupapa I te rangi nei. Uri atu ki te au kāinga o te wā I nei, te awa Ngāti Toa. E rere ana te mihi o te awa tupua ki koutou I tēnei wā. Uri no ki tātou, te kaupapa tangata, tātou kua kaupapa tia nei tēnei take, tēnei te mihi. So yes, as Sonya has explained, my name is Cribb, e mōkai tēnei o te kōtipinua Māori, and I'm here today with our pai matua, Steve Gunson, my colleague Dan Williams, who is in charge of our national performance team, and Tētihi or Takui Rāmutu. I probably should stop introducing you as my niece, but the Chambers Manager for the Māori Land Court and the Waitangi Tribunal. And it's our pleasure, Sonya, koutou o te Tumu Paeroa, to have been a part of this initiative. And I just want to send a bit of a shout out. I can't see all the people on screen, but I know some of the Pai Manawa and the Māori Land Court have joined today, and I just want to acknowledge the contribution you have made to this kaupapa. Anyway, back to the take you actually asked me to speak about. So in the Māori Land Court, ahu whenua trusts are established under our legislation, Te Ture Whenua Māori. I think it's really important to remember we're a court. And so our job is to make sure that we are recording the correct ownership on the correct piece of land. And generally that people are doing the correct things on that piece of land. One might assume, therefore, that our responsibility stops there. But when you're working with Māori, your responsibility never really stops at the place you think it stops. So we do have an obligation to support and to educate landowners and trustees who end up in a position of responsibility. And so in the context of trustees appointed in the Māori Land Court, we run what is a pretty basic trustee training program, and that trustee training program focuses specifically on the legal obligations and compliance of trusts. So you would have heard in the video a lot of kōrero around trust orders in the context of the Aotearoa Trust. Our trustee training is it gives focus on what trustees actually need to know about that trust order. And I noted also the 12 principles of trustees. At the time these videos were being made, there were some changes happening in legislation, and it's always really hard to keep up with the legislation, which changes a lot quicker than we actually give it credit for. Under the Trust, is it the Trust Act or the Trust Act 2019, you now have two kind of categories of trusteeship. You have these mandatory duties that you have to carry out, and then you have these default duties, which you should carry out if you're a good trustee in a good trust. In the mandatory duties, which are the no negotiation ones, it's very simple. The first one is know the terms of your trust. So trustees have to actually know their trust order. Our trustee training focuses on how trustees learn about their trust order. And that's pretty much, I think, our obligation in that trustee training space. Look, we get lots of requests. Can you run training about how I be a good chairperson? What does the minutes of the hui look like? That's probably some of the stuff that we don't cover, because it's considered, if you're appointed as a trustee, you're actually coming with a little bit of more your end skills. And as bad as it sounds, if you're not, what is the mandate or what is the purpose you're serving as a trustee? And I know that's often confronting for landowners and for hui, when people like me get up and say, hey, bring something to the table. Ka we noho mo te noho noiho. You know, bring something to the table, because once you're appointed as a trustee, there's some responsibilities and obligations on you. One of those is know how to run the meeting. So it's really good to see a video that gives a little bit of insight into that. We have a national online trustee training program. And for those of you that have been swimming, well, not swimming, that's not the right term, who have been engaged in the Māori land court space over the last couple of years, you'll know that we've been undergoing some big change with our new technology and with the way that we're working. Our trustee training online, our national online trustee training has been paused. We're getting ready to reinitiate it again. You know, I like to think we're coming back better, faster, stronger. That's what we're going for. That's what we're aiming for. Yeah. In the meantime, out in the districts, even though we've had a lot to get on with, there have been pockets of in-person training, because sometimes landowners just want to sit in a room with an actual person and they want to have a conversation. So we're trying to respond to those needs. Once we get our national online trustee training package up and running again, we're going to get a little bit more structured around what that in-person trustee training looks like. So that's pretty much where we're at this point in time. I'm aware that we've got lots of requests to get out and do more trustee training. Look, and we'll respond as best as we can to those requests. But I'm sure I took up more time than I was allocated. But once again, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and congratulations to Te Tumu Paeroa on the launch of these videos.
Now I'd like to ask Tony Gardiner from Te Puni Kōkiri to come up and say some words. Older.
Kia tau te rangi Māori e mate o tama ware o tapu me ngā ana hiri pono ko te manga e tau tuku mai ane a kini ai, a hako maka hako ora. Tēnā koutou rau rangatira mā, tēnā te mihi mahana kia koutou katoa. Ko Tony Gardiner toku ringoa no rātana hau, kei te noho taka kainga ki Ranganui Atara. Nice to be here and supporting the launch from Te Tumu Paeroa in terms of Tūtiaki. Unfortunately, today you've got the replacement for the replacement. Sorry. And so I haven't actually prepared a kōrero other than that, as Te Puni Kōkiri, we have as a vision thriving whānau, And so resources like this can only but support our whenua and our whānau. And in terms of trustee membership, kind of the value of the resources that have been developed and that I know Te Puni Kōkiri support and have provided support and development. So yeah, we have a few resources available in terms of how we can also support our whenua and our whānau to thrive. And so I'm just going to provide you with a website in terms of tepunikokiri.govt.nz in terms of some of the resources that we provide. As I said, I probably don't have the mandate to stand up here and kōrero about some of those resources. And yeah, and I apologise that I haven't prepared. So, you know, kia ora whānau, and yeah, all the best to Tumu Paeroa in terms of this resource.
Ngā mihi. Wai anō, ka whio atu au ki te kapua. I'm going to throw it out to those left online, which is ono te kaumaiwa, 69 of you who've still with us, ka pai koutou mā. So I'm just going to know my hara mai, tono mai, kōrero mai, pātai mai. So if you've got any questions, now's the time to ask. Kia ora.
Excellent.
Pātai paiti,
It is stunned into silence, Sonya. So,
Are there any chat questions?
Kia ora, I've got a question. Sorry, I couldn't find my hands up thing. So look, thank you for this. What you've showed us so far looks really brilliant, just the clarity of it, which is great. Look, you mentioned the online learning system and the workbooks. Is that also free for anyone who wishes to use it, or, you know, going to be free for people needing to use it?
Paito Pātai te Dean. So the Tūtiaki online learning resource, firstly we have what's called My Whenua, which is on Te Tumu Paeroa website. So they're actually owners of whenua Māori blocks, and who have they have login details, so they can get and access that online learning resource through that mechanism. So you need to be a Māori land owner. If you are not registered with My Whenua, you can register for My Whenua on the Te Tumu Paeroa website and then follow the above approach, and we'll provide you with a login detail using a URL login to the site so you can access those workbooks.
Ka pai.
Kia ora.
we've got a couple of online pātai, Sonya. One is generally about the videos where they filmed on marae or other community settings, and I think one of the stars could answer that.
Yes.
Kia ora. What was the question?
Was it filmed on marae or other community settings from Ember?
Yeah, so we filmed at Pipitia Marae, mostly using a little office, and then we used the wharenui, the wharekai actually to pay the actors with copper tea and biscuit. And a couple of the scenes were done outside on the maho and in the front area. It was really, really lovely. It felt like actually going to a meeting. And yeah, we're just having a look at the meeting chat.
Tupu.nz is a good link to go into and have a look, and that's the Te Puni Kōkiri resource.
Yes, so we've got another question, Sonia, from Paula, about asking if you don't fit in the Ahu Whenua Trust legal setup, are these resources suitable for charitable trusts? So that's why I was sharing about the dual access. So through Community Governance Aotearoa, you can view all of the videos, but if you need to be in the My Whenua through Te Tumu Paeroa to access the e-learning modules. So I think there's a dual purpose because they are very complementary. There's lots about personality types and lots of things you can take away about governance and meeting structures in your governance practice. So I think they are also equally viable, obviously, for our not-for-profit communities.
Yes, so just to give you a bit of context, we administer 1,800 whenua Māori blocks, which has over 300,000 owners. So that gives you the sort of the scale of the number of, so we were quite selfish in targeting whenua Māori landowners to start off with, but given that, and given charitable trust, there's still some gems that are, can be applied across all trusts at a governance level. Are there any other questions, Rose?
There is. There's one from Jason. I know Jason Kupo. Kia ora. There's a kind of tricky one. Who's going to put their hand up? I think Sonia. There's a discussion about whether formal resolutions are cultural appropriate. I think he's meaning appropriation for Māori governors and organisations. Do you have any whakaaro on this kaupapa? Well, who wants to answer that one?
Piri, I'll go after Piri.
I think you have to consider the context in which trustees are operating. So you're appointed under a legal framework. You're appointed to carry out legal obligations. So when you have a hui and you work in that way and you have resolutions that are moved and seconded and carried, that's an indication that you are operating, you are complying with your legal obligations. Mm-hmm. What I do want to say is that when we are going into this realm or space as trustees, we should, at the very first hui that we have, we should have a conversation about what our cultural obligations are as trustees who are there to carry out legal responsibilities. Mm-hmm. That conversation must take place in that trust forum at the very outset. And trustees must decide, or they must agree, how they're going to behave to fulfill those cultural obligations versus the legal responsibilities that they have as trustees. And only those trustees and their beneficiaries or their beneficial owners should be party to that conversation. The reason why I raise this is that this only becomes an issue when everything goes belly up and trustees find themselves in front of a judge in the Māori Land Court, and then they're asked to actually account for the way they have carried out their trustee responsibilities. And you've got to be very careful about how you manage that legal responsibility versus the cultural obligation. So my advice is trustees should have that conversation at the very first hui that they have, and they should be guided and led by the thoughts and the opinions of the people for whom they act on behalf of. Kia ora tātou.
What a fabulous response, and so much support there through the Māori Land Court as well. So just remember, get in there and access it. Looking forward to the national online program as well. There's a lot of it there, Sonia, about can you do some more videos, pretty much. So,
Pātai tuturu. Okay, well, we'd love to. It took us 2 years to get to this point. Yes. For various reasons, but we'd love your feedback, actually, go forward in terms of working with, partnering up. Can't do this by ourselves. In fact, the only reason why we got to this point was by working with others, but also not reinventing the wheel and looking to build on what's already there. So maybe.
Well, we love working with Sonya.
Response.
Ko Māori Corporate Services Director at Te Tumu Paeroa, but heavily involved in this project. I think if the Māori trustee was standing here, Charlotte Severn, she would say this is a small step and one of many that we should be taking together. I think it feels like a very late step for us to be taking, and I think you know, for Charlotte, just really the gulf that is there in the support for good governance and administration. We've got the passion there. So on behalf of Charlotte, we will commit to, look, we've got to get feedback, and this is just a baseline. What Charlotte really wants is that we do this together, not alone. So, yeah.
I think I heard yes, Sonya.
Yeah, it was a yes.
Yes, let's go.
Good. We have thoroughly enjoyed working with Te Tumu Paeroa, and there's some people involved for many years now, like Tony Kerr, TPK, Kevin is right from the start, many of the trustees around the table, and Sonya. So we have really thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's helped community governance Aotearoa establish our own Te Ao Māori advisory group, which Sonya has also been part of. So she's very much part of our whānau. I think that we're almost close to a wrap up. So I would just like to do a big shout out to the Community Governance Aotearoa team, April and Joe. We're a small team, but we are a fantastic one. So thank you. And thanks for everyone here today. I'm going to pass it back to Sonya for any closing remarks, and then over to Kevin to close this out with Karakia whakamutunga. Back to you, Sonya.
Oh, jeez. Well, ko tēnei he raumi taonga. So this is a resource that's a taonga to be, you know, I heard one of the words from one of the participants, free. And you don't get many free resources of today. So, you know, whio atu, whio mai. So make sure that, you know, use it, give us feedback that will be invaluable. And kia kaha koutou, kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora tātou. Hopefully you can hear me. I just wanted to say a couple of things before closing. And there's a question about, you know, Māori organisations that don't fit the Ahu Whenua Trust legal setup. You know, are they suitable for charitable trusts or incorporated society entities or marae trustees? And my answer would be yes. Governance in general is pretty similar. So I would say that these resources would be useful for all trustees, but particularly for our whānau around the table at the marae, or just doing whānau, other whānau trusts, those sort of things. Nō reira, thank you for that, Pātai. I wanted to really shout out again to Tumu Paeroa, Te Puni Kōkiri, the Māori Land Court, ko Te Whenua Māori, you know, as my father would say, ka pai, Te Māori Land Court, thank you for all your energies and resources. Community governance, Aotearoa is a
Koino kei te mihi ki a tātou, kei te mihi ki tēnei taonga, kua whakarewa hia I te rangi nei, hei whakanui ake I ngā āhuatanga, I ngā pukenga o tēnā I roto I tēnei ao, te tūtiaki nei. Nō reira, kei te mihi ki ngā atua, kei te mihi ki ngā tipuna. Nā koutou tunu tēnei taonga I whakarewa pai ai. Tēnā arahina mātou, I roto I tōna whakamahinga, hei oranga mō koutou, hei oranga mō te whenua, hei oranga mō te hapori whānui. Mā koutou tonu tēnei e tiaki, e arahi, Ma io anō hoki tātou e arahi e tia ki haumi e hui e.
Ai,
Whakapainga anō hoki ngā kai hei oranga mō mātou tinana. Whangai anō hoki o mātou wairua ki te taro te ora. Kui hukraiti hoki tō mātou ariki. Āmene.